It is the John Phillips Show. Johnny is back on Monday. It's Randy Wang here. And if 3 hours of me isn't enough, I do a fourth hour every day on our Southern California station, 790 KABC. It's called The News Blitz with Randy Wang. It airs from 5 to 6. You can get it at kabc.com/newsblitz or search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to email us, you could do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Aaron writes in and says, "Hey, Randy, I'm up in San Jose for work and listening to 810. My rental car is an Altima, so if you don't mind, could I hear a little Jesse Jackson?"
That was an Altima ALTMA 4899410. Please move it now. You're blocking someone.
That clip is 19 years old. I got to do something with Conway for the 20th. All right, we'll take a couple of more calls on SB79. I want to read you some emails because we got a ton of them that came in over the last 2 hours, and we'll play you some of the reaction that we've heard from San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie. Let's start with Morris in Santa Paula. Morris, hello.
Yeah. Good afternoon. The government has made LA City look ugly. Your station, KBC, years ago used to be at La Cienega and Jefferson. They tore the building down, and they put up a high-rise, I believe, apartment building or condominium. Looks ugly, right next to the Expo line. Then, if you recall, they had Martin Cadillac, Olympic, and Bundy. They tore that down and put up mixed use. Right next to the Expo line, I believe Gelson's moved in there. And they're making these high-rises look ugly. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. And they begin to look like a city prison wall with all the high-rise buildings. You can't go out. You can't go anywhere. You can't get to anything. And what is this coming to? So, I guess I don't know what Newsom is heading for. They should put him in one of them high-rise, bolt the doors shut so you can't get out. I mean, this is horrible what's going on.
By the way, Morris, that high-rise that you talked about where the radio station used to be, the apartments in there are going for $4,000 a month for a one-bedroom. Are you in?
That's outrageous. $4,000 a month. That is outrageous. And how can people afford to pay that kind of rent? This is horrible. And the rents aren't coming down. You get more populace, more people moving here. I'll go with the rents. Market rent is not coming down. It's going up. And the crime's going up to go with it. So if you call that life, well, Lord help you then if that's what it is.
Thanks so much for the call, Morris. Appreciate it. I'm so curious. What are the amenities at this building? You get an iconic backdrop, which is the backdrop of West LA. You get a lobby that's got a mailroom, a junior Olympic-sized pool, which means it's not an Olympic-sized pool, with cabanas, an outdoor dining court with a barbecue area, a fitness center with a yoga spin studio, a living lounge with a coffee and wine bar, a screening room and sports lounge. Yeah, none of this is worth $4,000 a month for a one-bedroom. Fake luxury. I don't know who's buying into it. And it's one thing if you live in a high-rise in New York City next to Central Park, or you live in a big building in San Francisco next to Golden Gate Park. La Cienega in Fairfax is a horrible neighborhood, and there's nothing around it to walk to except the Expo line to get out. I don't understand it. I can't imagine that place is full. Let's go to Ann in L.A. Ann, hello.
Hi, Randy. I'm with Morris. Let's have Newsom move into the 800-square-foot apartment. He is so self-absorbed, thoughtless, and abusive, asking us to have all the restrictions on our lifestyle, while he's the one that gets to live in gated communities with 24/7 security. No, these people have to go. Again, we need to call them out for the selfish, thoughtless, abusive people that they are.
I love this idea. I think we should start a movement. Gavin Newsom wants to build a whole bunch more of these luxury one-bedroom condos. He and Jen and the 4 kids have to go move in.
Or maybe maybe build in by their villa up in Northern California. Build one of the high-rise apartment buildings right next to Jen and Newsom.
Well, guess what? Marin County was exempted from this bill.
Of course, because that's Newsom. All this thoughtlessness, wasting time criticizing Trump while avoiding the fact that we know he's a dictator, not Trump. Trump isn't telling us where to live, what to eat, what to think, where to send our kids. He's sending his kids to private schools, but he's not allowing the rest of us to have charter and choice school. You're right. Absolutely. Send Jen and Newsom to an 800-square-foot apartment right there in the Fairfax-La Cienega area. You are brilliant.
I love it. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. I want Karen Bass to move in that building. I want every member of the city council to move in that building. All of our politicians that have been pushing these policies should live in the high rise that's $4,000 a month for an 800-square-foot one-bedroom apartment in the middle of a terrible neighborhood next to a Taco Bell with bulletproof glass. Please, let's make that happen. All right, we got a ton of emails. Let's go through them. Here's one. You're missing a major component of this. No parking housing goes hand in hand with the electronic traffic enforcement. The meter Nazi Dems are ingenious at finding new revenue streams. Well, there is that. And, maybe in 20 years, we can, when there are autonomous cars and Waymos going all over the place and you can just order a car with your phone whenever and wherever you want, maybe then some people won't need a car, especially people that don't like to drive. But what we're planning for doesn't currently exist. So what we're doing is making everyone's lives hell by not planning for parking. Peter writes in and says, hey, Randy, next to the Solana Beach Amtrak station, they built narrow townhouse condos, 4-story plus lofts. This happened about 14 years ago. Part of the city, Encinitas, the most liberal in San Diego County, and the state joint affordable housing push. Phase 1 was pre-sold out months before completion at $1.3 million. Phase 2 was immediately announced, pre-sold at $1.6 million. Now they're building, quote, low-income housing at 2 locations in Encinitas, price starting at $780,000. Now we have SB79, and what do you think the prices will be for a one-bedroom apartment? As a longtime resident of Southern California, if I could move, I would. The California GOP is nowhere to be found at a time where they have a chance to start chipping away at the supermajority. We deserve what we have by not voting the scoundrels out of office on both sides. Hope Johnny is having a good cruise. Thanks so much for that email. Appreciate it. Alan writes in and says, Newsom must smell blood. He may feel that Prop 50 will get more yes votes and the proposition for the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association will fail, so this would be the perfect time to change home ownership in California. All citizens in California have to stop voting for failed legislators who are destroying their lives here in this once golden state. California is now the fool's golden state. Thanks so much for that email. Appreciate it. Here's another one. Newsom's just doing what Pat and Jerry Brown did on their way out of office. Scorched earth, pass and sign as many outrageous bills as they can on their way out the door. Aaron writes in, this is awful but not unexpected. It's clear Wiener hates the suburbs. This is going to ruin small burbs such as where I live. People don't want to live in apartments, especially families. It'd be much easier to weld the doors shut the next time they declare a pandemic. And Tom in Oakland writes in and says, what will happen above ground is obvious. Parking, noise, privacy, crime. Less often considered is what's underground. Add 50-plus units in the existing water, gas supply, wastewater sewage system service. Increased demand in Oakland. Long delayed is maintenance replacement of a very old system. Many cities will be hard-pressed to afford the necessary infrastructure costs to recoup the underfunded issues. That is a very good point. Let's take one more call on this. We'll go to Tom in San Jose. Tom, hello.
Hello. Hey, once again, Randy, thanks for exposing all this stuff that so many of us know about, but without a voice like that you have, it doesn't get out there. So I would like to ask everyone listening, we need to start posting this stuff, especially on the X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And those of us, we will keep retweeting it and we will keep putting it on there. Every time they complain and every time they project what they do onto Trump, we're just going to say, yeah, okay, and then add this on there. People need to know. I know that we know, but it's amazing how many other people they don't know what this scumbag has done. And I was telling your call screener, I've been calling him New Scum since he was the mayor. He was in San Francisco. And he destroyed San Francisco, and then he gets to become governor of the entire state. That was my joke when he first became governor, and I was calling him New Scum, and I kept putting it up there. And guys, whether you want to believe it or not, apparently it stuck. We got the president of the United States calling him New Scum, hashtagging it. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Well, thanks so much for the call, Tom. I really appreciate it. And that is a good call to action. You know, this audience did an incredible job of making that Katie Porter video go viral.
No!
And while that was hilarious, it also showed that when we start seeing the after effects of SB79, when we start seeing the stories of a longtime single-family home getting bought out and turned into a 7-story building, those are the stories you got to share. You got to amplify that as much as Katie Porter.
Little D.
And yes, spread the word. Let everyone in your circle know what is going on in California. We do what we can here 3 hours a day. Now, let's hear what one California mayor has to say about SB 79. Here's a video that Daniel Lurie, the new mayor of San Francisco, posted this morning.
The governor just signed SB 79, a new law from Sacramento that allows taller buildings within a half mile of our city's many transit stops. Some San Franciscans are understandably concerned about the impact that this new state law could have on our neighborhoods and our local control.
Especially all those 2 stories next to Golden Gate Park.
That's why my office worked to secure changes to the final bill. These amendments ensure that the neighborhoods in the family zoning plan will not be impacted by this new state law. Let me be clear. If the Board of Supervisors passes the family zoning plan, those neighborhoods are exempt from SB 79.
Now, you might be wondering, what is Lurie talking about? What is the neighborhood zoning plan? Well, before SB 79 was signed about a month ago, Daniel Lurie introduced his own legislation that's working its way through the Board of Supervisors to increase density to meet the Gavin Newsom housing goal and apparently exempt San Francisco from SB 79. The problem is, when Daniel Lurie introduced this legislation, he almost got booed off the stage. Let's go to a story last month from KPIX that I've been saving for today.
In San Francisco, a key vote happening today on the plan that could reshape housing in the city. The mayor, though, met with a hostile crowd when he tried to talk about it.
They're saying shame. Like it's Game of Thrones season 5.
They were protesting his plan to expand housing by allowing taller residential buildings in neighborhoods that have traditionally been resistant to building housing. Lauren Toms has more on the debate.
And this is in San Francisco.
Tensions ran high on the steps of City Hall as Mayor Daniel Lurie touted his plan to drastically increase housing in San Francisco.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
The initiative, dubbed the Family Zoning Plan, aims to build 36,000 homes in the city's northern and western neighborhoods by allowing taller buildings near major transit corridors.
So it's the same thing as SB 79.
Their goal, to make a dent in the state's mandate for San Francisco to build more than 80,000 units by 2031.
See, this is the other reason why, the city of Los Angeles opposing SB 79 was a bunch of crap. Because they want the exact same thing, but they want to be cut in to the decision-making process. The LA City Council makes a whole lot of money, whether through legit means or illegitimate means, by being the person that can go thumbs up or thumbs down on a project. And you take that away from them, well, that's less money for them. But ultimately, ideology, I can't say that word. They are in agreement with Scott Wiener.
Our family zoning plan makes critical updates to the zoning code, a code that has not changed in 50 years.
It's not a family.
The state has given us a clear requirement.
You hear that girl crying, it's not a family plan.
And if we don't act, we risk losing funding and our ability to decide what gets built and where.
That was a loud one.
But his plan drew boos and chants from a crowd of dozens who claim the initiative will demolish rent-controlled units. Fred Sherburne Zimmer says she was pushed out of the city into the East Bay because of affordability and says Lurie's plan will harm low-income San Franciscans.
The upcoming plan could demolish large amounts of rent control.
Well, that's the thing. The way that rent control laws are written, and they only affect old housing. Well, if you destroy the old housing and build new housing, rent control doesn't apply anymore.
The upcoming plan could demolish large amounts of rent-controlled housing. It has almost no protections for the tenants of those units.
But supporters say the goal is to preserve affordable units, replacing any rent-controlled housing that may be demolished in the process.
It means more availability because more homes can finally be built across all of our neighborhoods.
And will that translate to lower prices? Remains to be seen.
It means more affordability because more homes add more affordability, both through supply and also through the inclusionary homes.
The YIMBY crowd, the pro-development crowd, is firmly in the belief that if you just build more housing, all the housing will get cheaper, which would be great if that's what happens. But we haven't seen it. Have not seen that happen.
Both through supply and also through the inclusionary homes and fees that come with that development.
But what will happen is they will spend more of your money to build quote unquote affordable subsidized housing. So the poorest among us will get housed. The richest among us can afford to live in the luxury buildings, and people in the middle class will move to Arizona.
But that wasn't enough to convince the opposition, who worried the plan will harm the city's historic charm and what's left of affordable living in San Francisco. They fear developers and...
I wonder how long the people in these rent-controlled units in San Francisco have been holding on to. How many generations are on that lease?
They fear developers and private investments will make the city more expensive to live in.
No one believes your NIMBY nonsense. Sit down.
Whoa. That was wild.
But Lurie insists the goal is to incentivize more families to live and stay in San Francisco.
Families and workers should be able to live in San Francisco. Not just visit on weekends or commute from the greater Bay Area, but live and grow and thrive here.
For Fred, she's not...
lovely idea. How?
For Fred, she's not convinced. She says she needs to see more protections for rent-controlled units so others won't be pushed out of the place she once called home.
What if you event the whole building of tenants who've lived here a long time to make that happen? Is that necessarily a good thing? We're not interchangeable humans. This is not homes. These are our families.
She sounded like a New Yorker.
And Mayor Lurie's plan was heard by the Planning Commission today and would be taken up next by the Board of Supervisors.
So that is Daniel Lurie's plan, that he says if the Board of Supervisors votes yes on it, then we won't have to do SB79 because we'll hit the state goal without it. But if they vote no, they're getting SB79, which means the entire city, the entire county of San Francisco, among all the other counties that we talked about, will be subject to changing anything can be upzoned to a 7-story building if it's near a transit hub. And in San Francisco, everywhere's near a transit hub. Johnny's back on Monday. No more double duty for me. It is Randy Wang here, and if you ever miss an episode of this show, you can always get the podcast. Search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcast, whether it's the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You can also just hit subscribe, and the episodes will go to your phone. If you listen to them, great. If you don't, just, let them go on your phone and take up space, and then we get the extra clicks, and it'll make my bosses happy. While you're at it, subscribe to the podcast of my solo show, The News Blitz with Randy Wang, because I said please. Hey, look at this. 790 KABC welcomes John Waite at the Canyon at the Oxnard Performing Arts Center October 18th. Tickets on sale now at AXS.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-2222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by the Canyon, where music meets the soul. Good luck dialing. When we come back, you'll hear a bizarre tale about affordable housing in Sonoma County. It's Randy Wang here. Johnny is back on Monday, and I'll be broadcasting from New Mexico. So very excited about that. Actually, with all the news that's been coming out, I don't know if I'm coming back. It's going to be really, really hard to get on that plane, which, by the way, there is a new flight now. You can go direct from LAX to the Santa Fe airport, and I'm very excited about that. American Airlines added that route, and I think that's pretty darn cool. We have talked a lot about upzoning today and SB79, and it sure seems that the only things that are getting built right now are luxury apartment buildings and condos that offer amenities nobody needs, like, and I'm not making this up, a bowling alley at the bottom of an apartment building in San Diego County, and, of course, affordable housing. But affordable housing, as we know, is subsidized housing, and it's usually subsidized housing for very specific groups, which leads to a weird situation that happened in Sonoma County a few weeks ago. By the way, I love Sonoma County, love the entire Russian River area, Santa Rosa, Forestville, Guerneville, Sebastopol. Oh, beautiful area. Healdsburg. Oh, I want to spend a weekend in Healdsburg. Apparently the secret's out now about Healdsburg. But in Sebastopol, also known to me as home of Costa Brown wines, there was an affordable housing development that was built, and a family moved in because they thought they qualified, only to find out they're getting kicked out of the affordable housing because this affordable housing wasn't for them. It was for farm workers. For more, here's a story from KPIX in the Bay.
Good evening. We begin with an affordable housing project in Sonoma County that was just too good to be true for the first people who moved in. Residents at the Woodmark Apartments in Sebastopol are...
I just got to mention this. We did a whole week up in Russian River, July 4th of 2021. And we stayed at a condo in Forestville near Mother's Beach. Like literally the condo right next to where you put in. And we did something that not a lot of people do, tubed the Russian River, which I'd be kind of afraid to now because of the flow and the stories about algae. But it was a really good time. And we were trying to, my wife's best friend from Texas was in. So we were really trying to recreate that feeling because in 2021, it felt like going to a Texas river with all the, it just didn't seem like the right idea. Had a great time. We decided to do a morning tubing run and then go wine tasting. And when we were tubing, we were pouring cans of Marjoram M5 rosé wine. Excuse me, not M5, Riviera rosé wine into swell bottles. So we were drinking wine on the Russian River and then got to Sebastopol for the tasting at Costa Brown, one of the best wineries in the entire state of California. And I was so blitzed from the rosé that I had to keep saying, no, I can't try any. I had the tiniest little sips. I was spitting. And we're talking $150 bottles of Pinot Noir, $100 bottles of Chardonnay. But I had way too many cans of $12 rosé. Yep, that was a good time. Love Sonoma County.
Residents at the Woodmark Apartments in Sebastopol are being asked to move out. That's because the complex had been specifically designated for farm workers. Our Suji Nam spoke with a mother who is trying to figure out what's next after they are forced to leave their home behind.
It's a weird world that we're living in when we're building, okay, this is a specific affordable housing for seniors. This one's for mom with kids. This one's for farmer. It's a strange thing that we're doing.
No, get my sword! While Melissa Page plays her son's favorite game, Pirate Battleship, only one thing is on her mind. Where are they going to go?
The cheapest thing that I've been able to find, and that's we're talking a studio, is $1,400 a month, which is triple what I pay now.
Which is 3 times less than what it would be anywhere outside of Sonoma County.
Pay now.
Paige has been living at Woodmark Apartments, an affordable housing complex in Sebastopol since last December. But now she's scrambling after receiving a letter from the management office offering residents a buyout of up to $10,000 to leave before their lease ends.
We had hoped
You're getting $10,000 because they accidentally leased you the apartment and they weren't supposed to, because this apartment was only for one specific kind of affordable housing. This isn't helping.
We had hoped we could obtain a waiver of this requirement for existing households, but the USDA has denied our request.
Paige and her neighbors say they were blindsided after only recently discovering that Woodmark received a $1 million USDA loan to open their doors to farm workers and their families. But instead...
So the owner of this development got $1 million loan from the USDA, but that money was supposed to be to subsidize the rent for farm workers, not just any low-income people in Sebastopol.
The bureaucracy is real.
You were always right, Shang. Truth teller right there.
The company had filled the units with low-income, non-farm worker families like Paige. And now, Woodmark needs everyone out.
Should you choose to move out and not to a sister community?
How many strawberries do you have to pick before you're considered a farm worker? Maybe she can go out there one day a week and keep the place.
The mutual termination waiver will still apply, clearly outlining the terms of the lease termination.
Paige has been trying to find affordable housing nearby, but says the wait list is up to 3 years, and that the buyout money will only go so far.
We know we have
what we're doing isn't sustainable. We're only building housing that nobody can afford and housing that's artificially subsidized that there are wait lists for. This doesn't work. And then we're going to demolish all the existing housing. I think we're starting to realize why people are getting out.
But says the wait list is up to 3 years and that the buyout money will only go so far.
We know we have no options. We have nowhere to go.
Patrick McDonald with Legal Aid of Sonoma County has been providing pro bono services to Woodmark residents.
The interests of those two vulnerable communities shouldn't be pitted against each other. And there is really a moral component of this, right, where it is not fair by either of those groups.
But that's exactly what we're doing. You know, it reminds me of a few years ago when Los Angeles still had this jackass for mayor.
I received things on both ends.
Eric Garcetti. He did a press conference outside of a brand new apartment complex that was, and he was celebrating this. This was something that was in the pipeline to be market rate. The city snatched it up and turned it into homeless housing. And it just made me think, well, then you're not adding to the supply and the rent is going to stay high for everybody except for the people we're subsidizing in that building.
Farm workers, one of the groups facing tense times. But Heather Henry, the CEO of the California Human Development in Santa Rosa, is fighting to help laborers find affordable housing.
Anything that connects to government data can be a source of fear. And a lot of times the affordable housing for farm workers is predominantly federal funding. And so that can be a catch-22 situation.
Meanwhile,
yeah, this is a situation where also when you have funding that's coming from the feds that's for specific kinds of housing, it just seems like we are overcomplicating all of this. And in order to help this group, we have to screw over this group. It doesn't make any sense.
Situation.
Meanwhile, Paige and her neighbors remain frustrated, unsure of what's next.
It doesn't make sense to me why they aren't being held accountable. Like, even if it was an honest mistake, they should be taking responsibility for it, and they're not.
And while her future is unclear, Paige says she will do everything she can to find her and her son their next roof over their heads.
Suji tells us that we reached out to the USDA. A spokesperson told her the developer never even applied for the waiver to rent to non-farm workers. We also asked if there will be any investigations into the developer or any possible repercussions. We are still waiting.
There's another thing, how much government money is going into building these specific projects that are not doing anything to get at the root problem of how expensive it is to build here.
We are still waiting to hear back, and we did reach out several times to Woodmark Apartments and the developers for comment, but have not heard back.
So there is a weird situation where you have an affordable housing development, a family is taken in, and then kicked out because it wasn't for them. It was for these people, not for you. Johnny is back on Monday. It's Randy Wang here, wrapping up a 6-day stint as filling in for Johnny, and then I'm off to the 405 to suffer for an hour, have a little lunch, and then I do a local show on KABC from 5 to 6 called The News Blitz with Randy Wang. A lot of the same issues. So if you're in the Bay and you want to hear it, you can go to KABC.com or search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. Now, we spent a lot of time this week talking about former Congresswoman Katie Porter.
Little D.
And her little blow up that went everywhere that we had first. It's gone super viral internationally. We had a listener in Australia tell me that he's sharing it with all his friends. But it's also being talked about in places that you might not expect, like a brand new rap from CNN's newest anchor, friend of the show, Alex Michelson.
I can't deal with this.
Alex Michelson, who for years and years and years was an anchor at Fox 11 and hosted The Issue is moving up in the world, and now he is on nationally. He's going to have a show that airs weeknights broadcast from Los Angeles, but right now he's on the Katie Porter beat. Let's hear what he had to say to the CNN audience.
Tonight, campaign in chaos. Democrat Katie Porter, who was once a rising star with her tough questioning of the country's top CEOs, is now going viral for not good reasons.
To put it lightly.
Newly uncovered video shows the former Congresswoman lashing out at her staffing, saying, "Get out of my effing shot." This days after a cringeworthy interview with a local journalist went viral. And now betting platform Kalshi shows that Porter's chances of becoming governor in 2026 have plummeted.
Are we really reporting news out of what people are doing on a betting prediction platform? Maybe they want to buy a block show.
In the last day, from 40% to 18%. Alex Michelson, CNN's newest anchor and expert on anything California politics, is out front.
This, by the way, great for Alex that, he just started over there, and there's a major California story that he knows everything about.
With how 2 days have thrown the state governor's race in California into total turmoil.
Get out of my shot.
I was a little safer with that bleep than CNN, but whatever.
Then Congresswoman Katie Porter lashes out at her staffer in this 2021 Zoom call with a member of the Biden administration obtained by Politico. For years, there's been chatter from California to Washington about Porter's treatment of her staff. And now it's on video.
You also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot.
Porter denied.
She's so mad.
Porter denied CNN's request for an interview, but her campaign sent us a statement that says, in part, quote,
by the way, the easiest way to get people to stop paying attention to that interview and that Zoom thing is to do another interview. The radio silence is not a good strategy here.
Porter denied CNN's request for an interview, but her campaign sent us a statement that says, in part, quote, I have sought to be more intentional in showing gratitude to my staff for their important work. This video coming on the heels of Porter's CBS interview.
I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
That went viral because of moments like this.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
She was in such a bad mood.
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote.
I used to talk to Rachel Maddow every week. Now I'm slumming it on local TV.
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%? Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're saying.
In a general election? Yes.
In 2024, nearly 40% of California voters cast their ballots for Trump. California has twice as many registered Democrats as Republicans.
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
That's the worst line in the entire thing. her getting so offended by follow-up questions.
Porter,
which, by the way, are required when you don't answer the original question.
Porter stayed for an additional 20 minutes of questions about her campaign for California governor.
And can we release that video?
But her frustration with follow-ups is ironic, since Porter made a name for herself wielding a whiteboard and asking tough questions and plenty of follow-ups during congressional hearings.
Any increase in the price of Revlimid would also increase your bonus by increasing earnings. Isn't that right, Mr. Ellis?
Her reputation as a minivan-driving, relatable single mom of 3...
Get it, loser. We're going voting.
Oh, if there's anything Katie Porter is, I'm sure it's relatable.
What I haven't heard about is anything about dishwashers.
It's helped to make Porter a leading contender in California's governor's race.
Also, the field is really weak.
I'm Antonio Villaraigosa. I approve this ad.
Antonio Villaraigosa buying a 3-minute ad on Sacramento TV stations and simply airing the CBS interview.
Okay, whoever advised him to do that, that's funny.
Betty Yee posting Porter is, quote, self-destructive and asking for her to, quote, drop out of the race. But one possible candidate hasn't criticized Porter. California's U.S. Senator Alex Padilla, who by all accounts is considering whether or not to jump into the governor's race. And recently...
And he can run and still keep his Senate seat, so it's like a freebie.
And recently had his own viral moment.
Hands on your back. Get on my hands. Go ahead. Fight behind my back.
Padilla
It's been quite a year for California politicians.
Padilla detained while asking a question of U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. When CNN's Manu Raju asked Padilla about the Porter videos, the senator responded, quote, I'm not even sure what to say. On how damaging it is for her, he said, quote, that's up to the people of California.
Maybe people are having a bad day.
Porter getting some support.
Really? The whoopee whoop is the one coming to defend her? Okay.
Porter getting some support from the co-hosts on ABC's The View.
We see these videos with guys. Trump does it every minute.
Voters we talked with in Los Angeles, a little less forgiving.
I didn't know that Katie Porter had that in her, actually.
This is your first impression of her, is this video.
Yeah.
Does it make you want to vote for her?
No, I guess not.
All right. Alex doing a little man on the street.
You know, I have friends in England who saw it and were like, what's up with this woman?
And what'd you say?
I said, I don't know. She sounds pretty, I don't want her as my governor. So it's too bad.
It makes you think differently about her.
Of course, of course.
Alex, you know, it's amazing. We've watched Katie Porter and those whiteboards in Washington that she was so famous for. And I know that no one knows more about the California race, California politics than you, right? Gavin Newsom, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all of them are names you've interviewed so many times, including Katie Porter. Has she done irreparable harm? I mean, this is a governor's race, obviously, that matters for the whole country.
Does it?
First off, good to be with you, Aaron. In terms of that, look, there's a long way to go. A week is an eternity in politics. The primary's not until June. But one thing that was interesting in talking to people today, a lot of people said that they had never heard of Katie Porter until this.
I love it. I love it. We did that, everybody.
Which means there are people that don't pay that close to politics, and this is breaking through in a way many other things haven't. In terms of Porter's strategy, it's clear her strategy has been this: be a strong Democratic frontrunner, lift up a Republican, and then win. But if Padilla gets in the race, which could happen because of this, that could really hurt that strategy.
Because if it's between Padilla and Porter going into the general, Porter's going to get shift again.
And Padilla was asked by Manu Raju today, when would you potentially make a decision by? He says he still doesn't have any hard date.
It's really all going to be.
So there you go. Look at that. Alex Michelson moving up in the world and also telling the CNN audience what California politics is like. Thank you all so much for this week. It's been a ton of fun, and I'll be back with Johnny starting on Monday. If you still, after 3 hours, want to hear more from my yap, I do a local show from 5 to 6 on 790 KABC. It's called The News Blitz with Randy Wang. You can listen live at KABC.com or the KABC app, or you can download the podcast by searching for the KABC News Blitz. Hit subscribe, download all the episodes. You can listen to them if you want, but the downloading's the most important part, I think. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.